Välkommen to Forfälliness Belly Sting. A show dedicated to aligning a journey to a better mental health using the understandings of the ancient Norse. Join us each weekday morning at 7 a.m. Alaska time. Someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great grandmother, elder, disappears, shattering, a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them. Look at that.
God Morgen, and happy Freyja's Day to you. Today we celebrate the energy of Freyja, goddess of love and war. How can those two be connected? Well, stay tuned and we'll dial you in and help you to understand how the understandings that Freyja brings to all of Midgard, how those can actually be used each and every day to give us a better mental space. Before we get started today, as always, I want to give a huge shout out to all of you who like, followed, and subscribed on any of the platforms. And for those of you who haven't, please feel free to do so. Every supporter we need to help push this message further, far and wide, that others who may need to hear these messages can hear them and gain that better mental space. If you would like to donate, we would be very appreciative. You can visit our tip jar located at pay.akulfhednar.com. You can see the link here. Please feel free to do so. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to my friends and family at New Reality TV. Newrealitytv.com is a brand new streaming channel that's dedicated to offering you a different perspective about your spiritual journey that may resonate with you and help you to find that spiritual connection that then provides you with the balance you need to obtain a better mental space. If you do have more questions about me, my message, my teachings, my shows, and or my life coaching services, which are available, you can check those all out at NorseWhispers.com. Today we're talking about Freyja, and we're celebrating today because it's Freyja's Day. It's that day at the end of the week where we're going to start pulling back energy, and we're going to bring it back so that we can heal ourselves. We have to remember we're not much value to others when we're so run down on energy that we simply can't be of any benefit. We can't even benefit ourselves if we're just totally draining ourselves this during the work week to help support all of those around us and help them to bring healthy and love and joy into their lives. We have to have some of that energy too, if nothing more, simply to maintain who we are and that we are. All right, so we'll talk today a little bit about some exercises I'd like you to try to manage that energy, to focus that energy, not on others, but on us. Freyja in her quest to, as she, for those of you who may not be versed in Norse legend and lore, Freyja was part of the god-goddess exchange between the Vanir tribe of the Norse gods and the Asir tribe. The Asir tribe is one you're much more familiar with, as many of the sagas include them. There are some sagas and there are some writings about the Vanir, but not nearly as popular as the Asir, where we hear about the gods and goddesses Odin, Freyja, or sorry, not Freyja, but Frigg, and Thor, and Balder, and Vidar. These are all gods and goddesses in the Asir Asgard. The Vanir gods, Freyr, Freyja, Njord, many others who are more agricultural based. So if you think about the tribes in that way, we really see the Vanir much more agricultural based, hearth, the home, survival, farming, those types of things. Whereas the Asir is the more warriorous of the two tribes. Now, these two tribes were at war for eons, until ultimately Odin and the Freyr would kind of come up with this deal where some of the gods and goddesses of the Vanir tribe would go and reside in Asgard with the Asir, and some of the Asir gods would live amongst the Vanir. This would promote a peace between them. Well, Freyja, of course, being the goddess of the Vanir, who would go and live with the tribe, the Asir. But she brought something so much bigger, and that was the power of magic. Now, magic is a wonderful skill, and we each, everyone, every life form on earth performs magic every day. I know, that sounds a little weird, but we do. Magic is simply the management of energies. That's all it is. Whether we're talking about Seether magic, whether we're talking about Spackraft, Galdr magic, all of them are simply just a matter of managing energy. In this case, we're managing the energy to manifest things or situations here on the physical realm. So we would cast spells to promote safety, particularly if we had groups of individuals going on these journeys, whether they be exploring, whether they be conquering or raiding, wherever they were. They would typically draw a Seether magician who would then cast a spell to protect them on the seas and to protect them in battle. We also read stories about my ancestors, the ulfhednar, where they would enter into a trance. They would connect with what is referred to as the Landvati, and the Landvati would then protect the ulfhednar from certain things. As an example, when the ulfhednar were going to battle, they would be protected from iron and fire. This is simply just a manipulation of energies on the physical plane to prevent that energy from causing any damage. So it's all just a matter of understanding energy. Well, your reality, the reality that we all experience each and every day, is just that. It's converted to energy. So think of your life, if you will, as a video camera. And in that video camera are these snapshots. These snapshots are recording the events as they unfold, right? So frame by frame. Now, in many cases, the video photography is recording at 30 frames a second, whatever, or high speed 60 or higher per second, but it's taking a snapshot of reality, right? And so if you think about your experience of this reality, it's just a very long series of a lot of these snapshots back to back to back, taken not only with a snapshot, a picture, a visual, but we also have auditory, smell, taste, and touch, all at the same time, all coming in one frame. All right? So think about that frame for a second. Think about your reality in one frame. When we do, we're talking about an image that comes into, and we're going to use vision today for our explanation, but think about one image of the world in front of you, one image coming into your eye. Well, your eye can't carry around, can't carry around discs or whatever. It can't pass off a picture, a Polaroid picture, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to take that image that it's receiving through your beautiful eyes, and it's going to convert it. It's going to convert it to energy, very much the same way as your computer would take a JPEG. Okay, so it's going to convert this image that you just took. It's going to convert it to an image, to a digital file, if you will. A digital file winds up on what's called the optic nerve of the eye. The eye then transmits that image in energy, or as science now calls it, bioelectricity. So now you have this image that's been converted from reality to an electronic signal on the optic nerve that's now going to be passed. Now, your imagery or your energy signals transmit over nerves every day. Every millisecond of your day is moving nerve signals. Just the plethora of them that occur in your life every day. Now, as these energy signals are transmitted and moved down the optic nerve, they're transmitted by an additional energy that may be created with, say, your diet. If we're eating and we're able to ingest some food and water, those foodstuffs are converted into energy by your body, by your digestive tract. It's going to create this energy that moves this signal down the optic nerve. Now, in my ancestors' day, I should say today, but as my ancestors explained, as this signal moves down, one of the first things it's going to get is our mood. And we've talked about this before, where we have what I call the mood ring. The mood ring is the energy at which you're kind of hanging on to of your mood. So if it's positive energy, you're in a good mood, your life is looking really bright right now, that's the mood energy that is going to be supplemented into the image that we just converted. All right? So those two energies are now bundled together. Now, before we get to the mood ring, we also get another dosage of energy from another source called our imagination. Sometimes that energy is not so strong. It's just there. It's just part of the equation. Other times it may be quite powerful. It may be quite the boost. As we move the signal now through this mood ring, which then alters the energy a little bit. Now, when I say alters the energy, what I mean to say is that our mood ring our emotional filtering, can actually remove things from the image. So it's going to copy paste, and it may not get it 100% accurate. It may change it. What I mean there in real life is that when we see our reality, if we're in a bad mood, as an example, as we observe our reality, there are certain things that may be highlighted, and there are certain things that may be completely removed from our focus, because our mood ring is set, right? So we're in a grumpy mood, and we're not going to see the beauty of the reality that we live. We're going to overlook that. Why? Because our mood says, yeah, that we don't need that stuff. And the energy then that is created, remember, we're converting now. We've added a little imagination, and poof, we're in the mood ring. We're adding energy one way or another, positive or negative or neutral. And then this packet, if you will, this snapshot, this frame of reality drops into what my ancestors referred to as the well of the self. Now, we've spoken about that many times, and there are plenty of examples. But the thing that we need to know here is that we've dedicated now energy to this frame. Each and every frame gets a little bit of energy. Now, as we go through the thought process, we wind up in this thing called the horn of feeling, which is towards the end. And in that, we're going to convert biochemistry back to bioelectricity. And when we do that, there are some additional energies that'll be supplied to the body, to the brain. And that's where imagination comes from. That's where the mood ring comes from. That's where all these energy sources that we're talking about on our way through the thought process, that's where it comes from, right? So when we convert biochemistry back to bioelectricity, we're going to have an abundance of energy. And that abundance of energy is what provides, in addition to diet, healthiness, exercise, those types of things. And of course, not to discount at all spiritual energy that we're constantly receiving. When my ancestors explained to me the reality of how the spiritual realm and the physical realm could coexist at the same place and time, they would use the analogy of an atom. For those of you not familiar with atomic structure, there's really three parts to an atom. There's the protons, the neurons, and the electrons. The protons and the neutrons will actually bond together to create what's called the nucleus of an atom. This represents, in the spiritual realm, this bonding of these two parts, the protons and the neutrons, represents our physical life, which would include our physical experience and emotional experience. So those two are bonded together and become the nucleus of who we are. And then, of course, you have the electrons, which represents the spiritual realm that's floating around on the outside of the nucleus. This dynamic that exists between the electrons and the nucleus is that they're consolidated, they're captured into a singular atom. Now, the average 150-pound person, according to a study I read, an average 150-pound person has 6.5 octillion, 26 zeros, atoms that make up their biological construct. You are a collection of atoms. We're talking atomic level here, so we're talking very, 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 very small. But nonetheless, if you think about it in a different way, put a little bit different perspective on it, and say 2/3 of what you are physically are this nucleus, are this physical reality that you are. Okay, biological, interfacing with different things going on, all of those things. That's all part of the physical reality. Your emotional responses to those energies that you're receiving, that's all part of this physical reality. Okay, so 2/3 of you deals with that. But a whole 1/3 of what you are, of your whole construct, 1/3 of what you are is the spiritual realm. It's actually the other part, if you will, beyond the veil, they say. So 2/3 is physical, 1/3 is spiritual, all in the same exact space and time of you. This indicates that there's the 3 major powerful pieces that we have to be able to understand and obtain balance with: our physical sensory input, our emotional responses, and of course our spiritual influences and the spiritual interactions. All right. So, didn't think you were going to talk about atomic structure this morning, did you? Anyway, let's take a real quick break. When we come back from break, I want to talk about how we, you and I, can use this knowledge to make sure that we remain healthy, growing, and evolving in the way that we were destined to do. All right? Let's take a real quick break. We'll be right back after that.
The air. The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me. It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
newrealitytv.com.
Welcome back, and thank you for taking that moment with me. And I need to give a shout out to Kerboga. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and hello to you as well. Today we're talking about the magic of Freyja, and we're talking about the management of energy, which is really at the core of what magic is. Magic is simply the manipulation of energies to manifest things, either here on the physical realm or to set the stage and to kind of hang that energy out there that will bring good things in the future. We're talking about managing our energy and to create the perspective, to create the reality that we want to experience. What does that look like? All right. Well, let's talk. When we went to break, we were talking about comparing, if you will, our existence to the atomic structure, which included the nucleus and, of course, the electrons or the spiritual realm. So there's energy moving all back and forth all the time, right? Now, energy that comes from the universe out there, whether it be the deity energy, whether it be other spiritual entities, whether it be other bodies such as, of course, Mother Jord or Mother Earth, whatever. All of these bodies are sending energies everywhere, right? All of this energy is neutral in its polarity. It doesn't have negative, and it doesn't have positive. It's simply neutral. It's energy, right? And it's not until it gets into the human brain where the polarity is assigned. Because polarities may mean one thing in one regional area and may mean another thing in another regional area. So it all depends on where you are and what situation is as to what polarity this energy becomes. Now, we use a lot of energy in our everyday lives, whether it be vocalizing, putting together thoughts and concepts, and just overall thought belief systems. All of these require energy that we're able to manage and manipulate to actually put together our conscious thoughts. That all takes energy. And a lot of that energy is going to come from your obvious diet and the things we're used to understanding. Sunshine, fresh air, all of these things provide us with energy. Why? Because we're not as blocking as we normally would be, right? So we're receiving this energy. Now, when you're thinking about other people, when you're thinking about, grandmother who has left the physical realm, and you're just thinking about her a little bit, so you're sending energy to her. Whatever we focus on in our everyday life, everything we focus on, we're sending energy to. And again, the polarity is based on our perception. So polarity, if I say I'm thinking happy thoughts about my grandmother, she's going to receive it. She's receiving neutral energy, right, from me. Because when we take our positive or our negative energy, for that matter, and we send it into the spiritual realm is so vast, it's so large, that it neutralizes energy of either polarity. So if you have negative energy, if it goes into the spiritual realm, it just neutralizes. If you have positive energy and you send it out to the spiritual realm, it just neutralizes, just because of the vastness of what the spiritual realm is. It's huge. The 9 realms that the Norse spoke of, only one was physical, and that was Midgard, right? Everything else was kind of ethereal in its orientation. Therefore, it exists in the spiritual realm. And as such, it was pretty vast. It's 9 times as large as eight times as large as the physical realm. So it's going to neutralize any of your positive and negative energies. So your exercise, maybe for you to look at today, is firstly and foremost, we have to learn about our focus. Our focus is where we're going to send energy. How do we focus? Well, most often than not, most of us rely on this thing called imagery. What we can see. What we can see, we're going to send energy to. So when we're focusing, we're going to clear out all of this mind stuff. We're going to get rid of the bills and the daycare and the commute and the work stuff. And we're going to get rid of all that by using what's called a physical trance or a psychic trance. And we're going to kind of meditate. I call this intrinsic reflection. Why? Because we're no longer looking outside, we're looking inside. In intrinsic reflection, we're going to take some time to clear out all of the processes of minds. Our minds are constantly going about everything in our lives. We need to kind of clear that away. And what I like to do is find an image that I can use. And I'm going to look at it before I close my eyes. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to get as many details as I can. And then with my breathing and my intrinsic reflection, I'm going to put that image, when I close my sensory input, close as much of my sensory input as I can, I'm going to put that image in my imagination. All right? So I'm going to think about that picture. I'm going to find all the details, all the little bitty things within that picture about me. So if I have an injury, as an example, I have an injury and I want to work at healing that injury. I'm going to put that injury and visualize it. I'm going to see it, and I'm going to put it right there in my mind. Right there. And I'm going to focus on it. And I'm going to imagine it healing itself. I'm going to watch that. I'm going to watch that movie in my mind over and over again. I am sending energy to that healing process. And that's really how it works. So focus on those things. Take some time each and every day. And of course, on Friday, we want to make sure we spend some time putting ourselves right there in that third eye. And the reason we're doing that is when we focus on that image of us, that picture of us, we're focusing our energy transmission towards it. And again, this is the magic of existence, manipulating energy for our benefit. All right. So that's what I'd like us to do over the weekend. Spend some time. Be outside. Obviously, being outside is the most wonderful of all things. You get the power of Yord, and of course the power of the gods. Let them just send that neutral energy in, and you then focus it on you to heal, grow, and evolve. And you'll see, everything will be there. So, for those of you who have, I very much appreciate everyone joining me each and every morning. To kind of recap on these, please feel free to visit NorseWhispers.com. There you can sign up for our newsletter. And we promote each and every Monday. We send a email out to all of our subscribers. And that email, of course, recaps all of these, including and also includes starting this week again. We're going to put the rune readings back in there so that you'll have a weekly rune reading for the next week. And then we're also, if we have drum circles going on here in Anchorage, we'll have notification in there. So some great stuff for you to consume each and every Monday. It'll be delivered right to your email box. And it's a great opportunity for you to catch up with all the things that I'm kind of involved in and moving around through. So please sign up. Subscribe. It's an easy process, and you won't be disappointed. All right. We will see you again on Money's Day. In the meantime, this weekend, I want you to enjoy. I want you to put yourself right there. I want you to heal, evolve, and grow. Make sure that you're thinking of you. Put some of that energy back into yourself. All right. Enjoy the weekend, and we will see you again on Money's Day, where we will talk about the mental control of money. Love and light, my friends.
Watching Ulfhednar's Belly Snake, a special production of Whispers of the Norse. Brought to you by the Alaska ulfhednar in South Central Alaska. Guidance and wisdom, courtesy of an ancient Celtic Norse shaman. Thank you so much for joining us today.